Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fallout Bar after night 15 of the 2025 BetMGM Premier League darts from the wonderfully named P&J Live Arena in Aberdeen. As ever, joined by Mr. Carwyn Evans. We haven't got Dan Simpson tonight. I saw someone asking in the chat earlier, are we going to see him? We're not going to see him because Chris Doby bottled a final as ever. Say he bottled it. There was a very good performance from the man on the other end, but there were a lot of missed opportunities from Dan Simpson's favourite player. Let's put it that way. But let's get underway. Carwyn, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks. Yeah, what a night of darts. I mean, we've been treated to a bit of everything tonight, and yes, things may be getting a bit clearer come the O2, but as in, I think we still had a show tonight that sort of kept us on the edge of our seats and shouting and cheering and crying, depending on who you follow. But no, I'm very well, thanks. Cam, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. As everyone's probably expected in the chat room, I'm very happy this evening. It's a wonderful, wonderful night of darts. A night of a lot of 180s. It felt like almost every other visit was a 180 for the entire night, Colin, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's in the water in Aberdeen, but the players seem to have found their trebles this evening, and there was some phenomenal scoring across the board, pretty much. As in, I think everybody will be happy with how they played, maybe disappointed with the result, but they all showed what they're capable of, and it's sort of. I don't like the format, but I feel like the players have made the best of the format this year and really treated those at the venues to some unbelievable matches, unbelievable numbers. As in, it's getting scary where some of these players are sort of reaching average-wise now. But 180s galore.
Yeah, I got a message from my mate halfway through the game between the two Lukes, and he's not the biggest darts fan in the world, but he's getting into it a bit. His message was, "What is going on here?" I just replied saying, "It's a different game. It's not the game that I play on a Wednesday. Like, it's not the same game. It's a completely different sport. It was spectacular at times tonight. And I think that's what happens. If you name the venue, as you should, after the local paper, people want to write headlines and they want to be in the paper."
Oh, Cam. We hadn't practiced that, but that was a
I just came up with that.
Beautiful segment. As in, yeah, and they did. As in, obviously, the big boys turned up as we expected them to, but then all eight sort of put on some sort of show, and we saw a few surprises, and sort of the two finalists. You could argue that was a bit of a shock, but on the night they were the best two players, and rightly deserved their shot at the £10,000 shootout.
Yeah, we started off the night with the most important game of the night, the one that had the biggest implications for the top four. We know three of them are done already, and the placings were pretty much set. Obviously, it could have changed a little bit depending on what happened between the two Lukes, but with that being done now, that's also set as well. This was the real one that was the biggest game of the night, and it didn't disappoint either. I thought it was a really good watch as well. Nathan Aspinall coming out on top, 6-3 winner over Michael van Gerwen in this one. MVG, he felt like he played all right. I don't think he played particularly poorly in this one. We've seen a lot worse from him on certain weeks throughout the tournament, but Nathan Aspinall just always seemed to be that little bit ahead. The stats ended up pretty similar in the end. They're almost identical, but that was probably only a slight drop off from Nathan at the end, where up until the last couple of legs, I think he was sort of comfortably above 100 average and looked like he was the one in charge.
Yeah, it was funny, as in a 3-1 up, you sort of feared the worst for Michael, really, because Aspinall just looked in control, and then he had the dart in the fifth leg, and I think it was that 140 outshot in the sixth leg that probably killed it off for Michael, because he would have fancied a chance at that 1-2. I think it was 1-2-9 or 1-2-7.
Yeah, I think it was 1-2-9. I think you're right.
And he would have fancied a shot at that to bring it back level. But I feel like when that went in, obviously you could never write Michael off, but the way he's playing at the moment, I don't think he's got the character in him to turn those games around when things like that go against you.
He hasn't got the confidence in his own game that he can fight it back at this point, isn't it? And like you say, I mean, what did he score? He scored 35, didn't he, to leave the 1-2-9, which it just felt like it gave Nathan that little bit of freedom going into that visit, and like I say, made him pay. And from that point onwards, obviously took out a lovely 90 in the next leg with a single 7 to start off. That's how I tend to start off a 90 combination as well, to be honest. Pinged the treble 17 right in the middle of the 32. It was from that point onwards, once he was one away, you just didn't think there was any way of the fight back, really.
No, and I think the worrying thing for Michael, sort of going beyond this campaign, because I do think that's probably his chances of making the playoffs done and dusted, because I can't see him winning next week, is the fact he only had 7 darts at a double in 9 legs of darts. And to win matches, unless you're sort of hitting 70% plus on your doubles, you need more chances than 7. And
well, if you're only going to have 7, you're going to need to be
6 out of 7.
Whatever that works out. I was trying to do. Yeah, I was trying to do it in my head, but
yeah, and he's nowhere near that at the moment, and his scoring isn't there. So,
well, that was the telling stat, wasn't it? Really, in this game, as much as it's not often we get a telling stat in this game where the stat is exactly the same in terms of the percentages, but they were both 42.86% on the doubles. But Nathan Aspinall gave him twice as many opportunities, and that was the big difference. You look at it just off the straight percentage, you go, oh, they're both really good on the doubles, but the telling stat was the number of opportunities for Nathan Aspinall, and that's what won him this game. And at that point, put him into pole position for going into next week.
I think Malachy makes a good point.
Yeah, I was going to say he was almost in pole position, but really it was still a straight shootout at that point. But we will come on to the rest of the get in.
Yeah, but Malachy makes a good point in the chat there. Yeah, the Eurotour certainly does just it is papering over the cracks, because I think these next sort of 7 months are huge for MVG in determining. But yeah, I can't speak. Sorry. Second language. Determining where his career goes from here, and I think it's a tough time for MVG at the moment, and I don't know if the drive is there at the moment to right all the wrongs in his game at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
It is tough to get that back. If it's not there automatically, you can't really force the drive to do it. You've either got to want to do it or not. And I do believe he wants to do it, but I think he's just lacking in confidence, I think.
Yeah, and the gap
He'll never say it. He'll never tell you for a second that
he's lacking
in confidence. He still will talk it up like he still thinks he is the best player in the world, but there's something not quite there.
Alistair, the gap is widening.
Skybox kept blowing up. That's probably just the volume of trebles did that to your Skybox, I think, tonight. Speaking of trebles, Mr. Gerwen Price. Yes, he didn't win this game against Stephen Bunting, but this game was pretty irrelevant, other than at 5-3 down, one of the most perfect legs you've ever seen. Certainly the 1-4-1. Like, they were all absolutely smack bang in where they should have been, right in the middle of the bed. And it was just a wonderful moment. And he is the one that we can rely on sort of more than anyone, I feel like, for 9 darters in this competition. He just keeps doing it, and he carried on the trend that you hit a 9 darter, you get beat, is what happens in the PDC. But other than that, I can't really remember anything else from this game.
Well, the bizarre thing was, 2 legs prior to hitting a 9 darter, he went for 3 bulls and 150. And I thought, well, that's where his head's at in this game. He's qualified for the O2. He's just going through the motions. I know we'd said pre-match, oh, I'm qualified, but the 10K bonus would be nice. But yeah, from 2-1 up, his scoring sort of deserted him a bit. And yeah, 5-3 down. You think, oh, that's probably it then. But he should have probably forced the decider and had the dart in the deciding leg, really. But Bunting,
it was that once again that sort of come down from the 9 darter that is so hard to sort of reset and go again, because although he sort of started that leg with a 1-3-5, maybe something like that, he had a decent start to the leg, but then just nothing from there on in.
Yeah, and it's probably Bunting got that bit of luck he hasn't really had at all in games where he's been in control, that he's seen players come back from 5-2, 5-3 and beat him.
It's like
so
the first time that someone's not averaged 100 plus against him. But
but
the guy still is a 9 darter against him.
yeah, you know it's not your Premier League campaign when somebody hits a 9 darter against you just to take the piss. But no, credit where it's due for Bunting. He did the job, but yeah, I think I agree with the greatest showman there, is that
he's not. He wasn't.
Yes, he's the 9 darter, but
well, that's to be fair. If you'd offered him at the start of the night, you go, well, you can win the night, 10 grand bonus, or you can have a 30 grand set of gold darts. I think he'd have took the 30 grand set of gold darts somehow.
Exactly, and I think
no, he's already got one, but why not?
Yeah, and I know Aspinall could potentially pass him if he wins again next week, but the reality is, for Price, I don't think he cares who he plays in finals night. He knows if he turns up, he can beat anybody, and the likelihood is to win the Premier League, you need to beat 2 Lukes in an evening. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think he's too fussy really who he plays, but he's just relieved to be there, especially after last year, and questions should have been in it this year. But no, nice to see Bunting pick up a win. Nothing more than consolation, obviously, but yeah, he's just fed up as well, I think.
He could, yeah, that's a good point. He's got to. He can get rid of this set if he wants to. He's actually made more money than he could have done. I just see his set popping up on eBay in the week.
Yeah. Marketplace.
Buy it now, 30 grand or best offer. From there, we moved on, and this was the only bit of work I did throughout the night. I posted this on socials because Phil was busy at that point.
Professionally, I may add.
I don't know if this was the whether I was right, but it felt right in what I wrote. It felt like this was the best performance of the entire Premier League this year from Chris Doby.
I think I'd agree with that. Because Rob Cross, again, has done nothing wrong, but has sort of
played quite well.
Yeah. He's okay, maybe not enough 180s, but he's at 100 average. You can't ask for much more than that. And okay, doubling wasn't great, but if you hit 100 average, you don't expect to get spanked 6-2s, you. No. But interesting, I don't know if you heard on the commentary on the television, they said that Cross has the 3rd highest average of the 8 players in the Premier League. So it's bizarre that he's sort of fighting to not finish bottom, isn't it? So, but
that's it. He's sort of fallen into that battle now, hasn't he?
Yeah. And from a few weeks ago, he could sneak into the playoffs. Now it's more of a case of, will he finish bottom?
Yeah, that's it. Like, he was still in the conversation for making the top 4 going into tonight, but he's now definitely done now. That he's finished for him. This was the Chris Doby that we've been sort of calling out for all year, and like we've given him a bit of stick at sometimes for missing doubles and for not sort of taking chances when they're there. And I think this is why we're a little bit harsh on him at times. Certainly me, at least. Dan Simpson will never be harsh on him. Dan Simpson's very, very different in that regard. But I have been harsh on him at times. And it's because we know he is this good.
Yeah.
And this is what we want to see from him. And if he plays like this more often, then he should be in again next year. But he can't play like he has for most of the competition and get in again next year. He has to do this more often. And whether that's him going and winning a big title before next year. But we need to see more of this from him because it's so good to watch when he does it.
Yeah, I do feel like he probably needs to win something this year to be in the conversation, just because I know he's called Hollywood, but for most of this campaign, it hasn't really been Hollywood. It's been more Hollyoaks, maybe. No offense to any Hollyoaks fans.
No, Hollyoaks. Well, actually, yeah, probably the drama of Miss Doubles is probably something similar to Hollyoaks. You might not be far off.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was the case that in his head tonight, his race was run, but it seemed to flow a bit looser. He seemed a bit more in control of everything, and he was just in a better place with his darts, and it seemed much more controlled from him. We'll discuss what happened in the final later on, but for the first half of the night, especially, I thought he looked. I thought he looked like a different player, and this is the Doby we see on the floor at Pro Tours and Players Championships and what have you. But it's just we haven't seen enough of it on the big stage to sort of to be too complimentary this year, unfortunately.
No, we haven't. But very good performance from him tonight. But
yes,
but it sort of paled into insignificance with the next game because this was just bonkers, just ridiculous starts from the pair of them. How Luke Humphries has ended up losing this game with 110 average, 9 180s as well, which is mental in 9 legs. I don't really know. Yes, he wasn't amazing on his doubles, but he also wasn't bad on them. He only got 8 darts at a double, averaging 110. And the only thing I can say about that is it is just all of the respect to how well Luke Littler's played here, because that was up there with one of the greatest performances on a Premier League stage we have seen.
Oh, as in, I don't know if we'll see a game of darts like this again. Yes,
if we look at what are the best averages we've seen on the Premier League, like the record average from Michael van Gerwen, the 123.4. It was in a one-sided pummeling against Simon Whitlock, who was not in the game and nowhere near that level. He was just able to relax and just tee off on it. This was not that. This was someone in an absolute battle where he was 2-0 down, not to forget in this game, and 1-6-3 against someone averaging 110.
It was insane, absolutely insane. I think a 3-1 up, Luke Humphries had thrown everything at Luke Littler, and he just brushes it off and reels 5 legs off on the spin, whilst still being chucked everything at him from Luke Humphries. This game, as
it wasn't that Humphries fell off, like you say. It's just nothing of the sort, and it was still 5 legs on the bounce to win it, as Creighton Jones points out.
And it was unbelievable, and this is why I'm worried for people like Michael van Gerwen, because he doesn't live with this at the moment. He gets nowhere near it, and this gap
I wouldn't see him fighting like Luke Humphries did in this game either. I think the towel would have gone in.
Yeah, And the fact is, at the end, Luke Humphries knows he's been in an epic battle, and he smiles and laughs about it because what more does he have to do
Yeah,
to beat this kid?
there's
As
not
in,
a lot else you
he's
can do,
given
but I don't think Michael ever has that response of I couldn't have done any
no,
more there. They just
no, and
despise
obviously,
losing.
yeah, obviously Littler going 6 out of 8 on the doubles massively helps him. And did he have the 2 ton pluses? Was it back to back, the 130 and
Yeah,
the 144 or
144,
something?
and it wasn't back to back. I think there was a leg in between, but it was a one
Oh,
two
okay,
seven.
yeah.
I think the other one as well, wasn't it?
Once, yeah. But it was just
It shows you
it
how
was
well he was
yeah,
playing. 127, he didn't even have to utilize the bull. Like,
yeah, exactly disgusting behaviour.
um,
But
yeah,
what a
just
performance.
magic darts from him. The favourite moment though was the 170 after Humphries wired the 170. Luke hitting the 170 to leave 34 was
Yeah.
like he had 2 perfect darts in the treble 20. The right dart is to hit another treble 20 and leave double 12, but just to ping the ball at that point. I think that was that to go 3-1 down. It was, wasn't it? Because Luke
Yeah,
still pinged
yeah.
it out. But yeah, Luke didn't win another leg after that.
No, mind games, mind games.
It
Littler
was
knew what he was
just
doing.
he
I'll throw him
rattled
off
him
the
so much that he only averaged 110 from that point onwards.
yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, something else that game is if you didn't advert for darts, that's it. But obviously, don't expect that every game if you're new to the sport. And
No.
if you're new to the sport, where have you been because you've missed games like that or close to that?
Yeah, it's just mental. Gaz, it just asks in the chat, I clicked the wrong one. Draw for next week. We will come to that when we do predictions. I have got it, but I will come to it when we get to that point. Otherwise, we'll get all confused and we'll get lost with where we are. On to the semi-finals of tonight, and first game was Nathan Aspinall up against Stephen Bunting. This was a big game for the Asp because at this point he was only a point clear of Van Gogh, which just left it as a straight shootout. Whoever wins next week gets that 4th spot. Because of the night wins for Nathan Aspinall at this point, this meant that Michael Van Gerwen had to make the final to be able to get past him if he could beat Stephen Bunting, which he did comprehensively. And he didn't play anywhere near his best in this game. It was a solid performance. The 180 hitting was good again. But Stephen Bunting forgot where the outer ring was.
No, yeah. Again, Bunting, he would have relished somebody throwing a 94 average against him a few weeks ago, but yeah, it's been that sort of campaign where he's either been outscored or can't hit a double, and unfortunately for him tonight, it was the doubling that let him down. But obviously, it must have been hard for Nathan as well, because in his head, Nathan would have looked at tonight's draw and gone, right, realistically, I need to beat Michael, Gerwen, and a Luke. And 2 of those 3 didn't have to happen. So he's had to sort of mentally change his preparation. That's no disrespect to the other players. It's just the way they're playing, you'd expect that to be
let's be honest. Playing Stephen Bunting or playing Gerwen Price, you would pick up Stephen Bunting as your choice straight away. You wouldn't even think twice. Just maybe not always, but in this Premier League this year, 100%. There's no question.
Exactly, because Price, nothing to play for apart from 10k. Stephen Bunting's throwing for pride, and nothing's going his way. So you know you've got a chance to beat Stephen with Gerwen. It's more of a flip of a coin. So for the Asp to come out, average 90 plus again, 94 plus again, 4 180s, and solid on the outer ring. It's hard, obviously, when your opponent's missing that many, but it felt like quite a professional job from the Asp without sort of being fireworks. And when you've got to win a game, that's all you need to be professional.
Well, it was very similar in stats to to his first game against Mike Van. He hit 4 180s in that one as well, and he was also 6 from 14 on his doubles in that one as well, which is a very strange position to be in. That it's just a model of consistency from the Asp, which is not something that probably gets levelled at him too often.
No, exactly. But fair play to him for just keeping at that consistent level, because he knew winning this game was massive, and as you said, it meant that next week's permutations for MVG got much harder for him, and as we will find out in a bit, no spoilers intended, things will get even harder.
I mean, everyone knows the result already, let's be honest.
Well, if they don't, then
why the hell are they watching us?
Good point, yeah. Fair enough.
Second semi-final, and this was more of what we want to see from Chris Doby. Just fighting out a battle against Luke Littler. Again, 50% on his doubles. The checkouts were there. He played well. The scoring was fantastic again in this game. I mean, Luke's played in 2 games tonight, and there's been 27 180s over the 2 games. If my maths is right. 27 180s over 2 games that he played in. It's just another absolute clinic of scoring. And it was almost the opposite of what we've seen from Chris Doby, that it's usually him giving up those opportunities and giving those chances to the other player and getting punished. That's what we've seen from him most of this year. But he punished Luke Littler for doing that same thing. Littler's doubling was way off what it was in the quarterfinal, probably partly down to the fact that maybe a little bit of focus gone, even though he still hit 8 180s. Like, he wrapped up top spot at that point. He was guaranteed to finish top. It's probably a little bit difficult to have the same level of focus at that point. But fair play to Chris Doby for getting it done.
Yeah, as in, no, I'm no more a Chris Doby fan as I am a Luke Littler fan. I just watched this game with sort of, let's have a good game of that. A 5-2 up, I turned to Laura, my partner, and I said, "Oh, you watch Chris Doby shit the bed here." Lo and behold,
he's tried
7 minutes later, I was like, I told you this was going to happen. But in that last leg, I thought Chris Doby showed why he deserved a spot in this Premier League, because he had no right to win that game from 5-all. And yes,
he did still try to gift it, to be honest. Towards the end.
Yeah, Luke did miss a few match starts towards the end, but he took the double well in the end and sort of scraped through. But again, I just
heads in Bilbao.
Well, quite possibly.
I mean, if you're losing focus for second-rate Thursday night competitions, let's be honest, like, it's 2 relegation candidates in the Premier League playing in a second-rate final. Surely that's not taking his focus.
Well, you'd hope not, but
obviously he's going to try and get there and back in time for next week.
Oh, is the final next week, is it?
Yeah, the final is Wednesday, isn't it? I'm sure it's Wednesday night.
Yeah, they do change the nights for the final, but I didn't realize it was next week. Well,
yeah, it is Wednesday night. It would be some effort, to be fair, to go to the
direct flights from Bilbao to Sheffield. That's probably the clincher, isn't it?
I don't think anyone in Bilbao has ever wanted to go to Sheffield.
No, and I don't think I think the ferry from Bilbao to Portsmouth will take too long then to drive to Sheffield. So, well, he'll probably find a way.
I'd be impressed if he does. To be fair, he's won the group, the table. He's finished top regardless. I mean, I would be if I was him and I cared about these sort of nonsense competitions. He says, as a Blackburn fan that would love to be in it. But if I did care about this sort of thing, I would be saying, "Look, lads, I can't make it next week."
Yeah, that's in. But well, the thing is, PDC will know. They might be like, "We'll find you a flight to Sheffield. Just get on the flight."
It's gonna be like, he's just
Chartered flight.
ringing in sick when they know that he's, they know that.
Yeah, ringing in sick from the stadium. All right, lads, won't be in tomorrow. It's a lot of Spaniards shouting "Vamos" in the background.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. But would you then want to go to fight? Well, I say, would you want to go to finals night? Not with momentum on your side, but let's be honest. As in, I
don't think it matters to Littler.
He's got momentum from anywhere. Yeah, he'll get up Thursday morning and find the momentum, won't he? So, but yeah, credit Doby in this game for just staying in it really and showing that he can do it back to back, because again, 50% plus on his doubles, and he's beaten the best player in the world at the moment.
Yeah. It's really good from Chris Doby again, like I say. And then we came on to the final, and then he became Stephen Bunting from the round before, and became Chris Doby from earlier in the tournament. Whereas Nathan Aspinall was remarkably consistent again. He hit another 4 180s, and he just missed one extra double. If he'd hit it with the first dart on that last visit, he would have finished up with the same stats of 6 from 14 again. He finished 6 from 15 this time.
Yeah, and one less turn as well.
Yeah, just ridiculously consistent, though, throughout the night from him. And again, there's just no fuss whatsoever in this one. Like he did the same against Michael. He got out into a lead, sort of let Michael back in a little bit, but again, always sort of felt comfortable. And then against Stephen Bunting and again against Chris Doby, he just got himself into a comfortable lead and never looked back. And it just allowed him to play with that freedom. And so for most of this game, it was the smoothest we've seen from him for a long time. There was no there was not many regrips, at least. There was not many stopping and starting. It was really, really smooth and looked just relaxed at this point, when it was still a massive win, because if he didn't to win the night, he just needed to make a final. Now he has to win the night, which he's not done all tournament. He hasn't won a night at any point. We've seen more often than not that he doesn't perform well in the semi-final if he gets through the quarter-final anyway. He's really put himself in pole position. Sean, you put that in there a couple of times. I can give you credit for it. Aberdeen, we're calling it. That's what we're calling it from now on. I haven't got much more to say about this final other than it's just a really good, solid, professional performance again. And what's possible on a night where he really needed it?
Oh, massively. And he had all the pressure on him throughout the night, because he knew, whatever happened tonight made life more difficult for Michael next week. He has made life pretty much impossible for Michael next week. He's got to do something he's not done this year, which is win 3 games in a night. Incredibly, Chris Doby had such a high average despite missing doubles for fun. And I don't know, I'd been interested to see this final had the semis been the other way around. Obviously, having just come down from that high of a last leg win against Littler to then be back on within 15 minutes. Obviously, it's hard to sort of control your emotions. But I'm not trying to take anything away from Nathan, because as he's done all night, he's just done what he's got to do to win every game, and credit to him for that. But I think Doby can be happy again, as in, I didn't realise till they mentioned it in the final that he could still mathematically make it the O2, as in,
I laughed at that point.
Yeah, so did I, because I had that have happened, it would have just been unbelievable, as in all the gods were on his side. But I think he can be happy with just another final and just sort of more points on the board, because he's just climbing that table slowly. Yes, disappointed not to make the top 4, but honestly, did we ever think he was going to make it? Probably not. He just doesn't have the consistency in his game over 16 weeks to make it. But if he can finish 6th, I think he'll be satisfied, and it'll give him something to build on then, should he make it in next year.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's an improvement sort of from where it looks like being for a while in this tournament. He's given himself an opportunity to finish, like I say, finish 6th. It's not what he came into the tournament looking for. It's certainly not what he would have been wanting to do. But he is now in that 6th spot. So we'll run through the table as it stands now. Stephen Bunting, 12 points at the bottom. Rob Cross, 14 points just above him in 7th. Chris Doby, 15 points now, up into 6th spot, and now in sort of probably pole position, really, to end up in that 6th position. He could even, if he wins the night next week, end up in 5th above Michael Van Gerwen, which would be a remarkable finish to the season from Chris Doby if he manages to do that. But Michael Van Gerwen is that man in 5th at the moment with 20 points, but no night wins. So if Chris Doby wins it, he will end up there courtesy of that. If Michael Van Gerwen doesn't pick up any points. Nathan Aspinall in 4th now, 24 points, a 4-point gap between him and Michael Van Gerwen. Then top 3, as they were going into the night, all obviously already qualified. Gerwen Price sat there with 24 points. He's in danger of finishing 4th now, though. Nathan Aspinall could take that 3rd spot. Luke Humphries in 2nd and 3rd with 31 points. Can't change from there, and neither can Luke Littler on 40 points at the top of the table. If you are Nathan Aspinall, do you want that 3rd spot and play Humphries first and then Littler, or would you prefer to get Littler in the semi-final?
Aspinall,
I think I'd rather play him first. If you've got to play Littler, I think I'd want to play him first. I want to finish 4th and play him first up. Because you're going to have to go absolutely like life and death with Luke Humphries to get through that first semi. There's an opportunity if you play Littler first. Yes, it's sort of the same, but you might only have to play Gerwen Price, which is not. It's a bit of a stretch to say only, but if you get Humphries, you're 99% for me. You're going to play both Lukes.
But then Price
even though Gerwen Price has had that edge over Littler, I just think over the longer format, I'm not sure.
I think only one player can beat Littler on finals night, and it's Price. But it's a tough one, because do you want Luke Littler first when he may not be completely warmed up, or do you want him in the final when you're also better prepared because you've had a few legs under your belt as well?
It's tough one.
It's a horrible situation.
I mean, he was really poor when he wasn't warmed up tonight, Littler, wasn't he? When he averaged 116.
Yeah, but then he only averaged 110 in the semi, so yeah, you may want to play him in the final.
Yeah, I don't know.
He drops off to 110,
either way,
101.
Whoever comes out of the 4, and it is likely to be the 4 that are sat there at the moment. Whoever comes out of it and wins that tournament is going to have to do something special on the night.
Oh yeah, you're going to have to throw in probably a night average of 108, 109 to win, I think.
Yeah.
Realistically, and that in itself, I think, have Price and Aspinall got that in their locker over 19, 20 legs of darts at the moment? I don't know if they have. Bless you, Cam. I don't know if they have, but it's certainly, if it is this 4, as in all four will go in there with a similar level of confidence based on different things, I think. But well, the O2 will be bouncing that night. It'll be rocking. I think we're in for a treat.
Yeah, it will be. So we are into predictions for next week. It is Sheffield, so I predict that it is a terrible place. Sorry to anyone from Sheffield that is watching, but I don't know. I'm not really sure you've got much of an argument. Just upset some people to end
You'll have
us off.
Steve Bracknell on your back now.
That's it. Yeah, so the draw, Daz, I've been making you wait for this. You did ask for it a while ago, but if we don't make you wait for it, you won't watch all of. Well, you probably will, but some people might not watch all of what we say. We start off with Luke Littler up against Stephen Bunting, followed by the game that could end it all in the first game of Nathan Aspinall up against Michael Van Gerwen. That might end all hopes for Van Gerwen if he loses that one. Then we've got Luke Humphries up against Rob Cross in the third quarterfinal, followed by, save the best for last, the Carwyn Evans, Dan Simpson derby that is Gerwyn Price up against Chris Doby. And it's predictions time. So get yourselves ready in the chat room. Gordon's in there already. He's absolutely on it. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, predictions in the chat room. Carwyn, you'll go first. Luke Littler against Stephen Bunting. How many does Luke Littler win by and why?
Well, I'm gonna put. It's a good job you told me about the Europa League before now. So I'm gonna put that may have a slight influence on Luke's fragility.
You may have, yeah. Well, he's old enough to go and have a beverage now, so
yeah. He wins comfortably though, as in 6. Oh, do I give Bunting 2 or 3? I just think Bunting will want to run off that stage, get home, and think of other things, not the Premier League. 6-2 Littler, I think.
6-2 Littler for Carwyn Evans. Gordon says, "Don't be silly, I'm pissed." Well, I thought that when you gave Stephen Bunting 4 legs, I'll be honest. I'm not giving him that many. I think Littler wins this one. He just seems to do it against Stephen Bunting. He just turns up and he plays very well. And I think that Bunting gets 2 on the board. So yeah, 6-2 for me as well. Gordon, as we mentioned, has it 6-4. 6-2 for Alistair. Malachi's got it 6-1. Yeah, I didn't think there'd be much opposition to that pick this evening. We have got, obviously, if you are trying to get involved in the predictions and you can't, then you do need to click the subscribe button while you're there. Give the like a click if you've not already done that as well. But yeah, if you don't subscribe, you can't actually comment. So make sure you do click that button if you haven't already. Second quarterfinal, Nathan Aspinall against Michael Van Gerwen. I think that the drama ends early. I think Michael Van Gerwen knows at the moment he can't win a night. He won't ever say that, like we mentioned before, and he will tell us all going into next week that he's just going to turn up and do it, and he's going to win the night, and he's going to make the finals night at the O2. I just can't see it. It would be a very Michael Van Gerwen thing to do, to go and do that, but I think Nathan Aspinall, he's just finding an edge when he needs it at this point in the tournament. He's playing some of his best stuff and just grinding out what he needs to grind out to do it. I think he does that again. I think it gets closer than it did tonight. I think we see it go 6-5 this game, but Nathan Aspinall is one that comes out on top.
Just good evening to Shelty. Hope you had a good time at the darts. What a time to be in Aberdeen. Whoa, magical.
Was the live arena as good as we believe it is in our heads, having not been to it?
Yeah, it sounds like a magical place. What was I going to say? This game. I actually think the drama briefly continues of MVG Magic. I think MVG wins this game 6-4, but as I will reveal when I pick my think.
Sorry, I just muted you. Go on,
I saw it. I thought,
give your reasoning for why you're wrong.
But I, as I will when I pick my finalists, I don't think he makes it to the finals. So, Asp fans, you can be happy he will make the O2. But I want something. I want something to happen
We
next
do
week.
like drama, as Dan Simpson would put it. We do like to manifest chaos at times, but when Nathan Aspinall is involved, I want it to be as easy and stress free as possible.
Fair enough.
In the chat room, Malachi's correct. He's got Aspinall winning 6-3. Alistair's also not correct. I've read that wrong. He's gone 6-4 MVG. Asked 6-4 for Gordon. He's right. He knows what he's talking about. Mikhail has gone 6-3 for MVG, so he's wrong as well. But yeah, split in the chat room, split between us. It is, who knows? Could be anything. And I feel the next game will be slightly less split as we go for Luke Humphries up against Rob Cross, who, as we know, played very well this year, but has not got the results. He's now down in 7th spot, could potentially finish bottom if results go the wrong way for him at the arena in Sheffield, which I've forgotten what the name of it is. It used to be the Motor Point. I don't know if it's still called that or not.
I'm
not sure.
I think it was the Motor Point.
Sheffield is in and hasn't gone when I started giving you shit a minute ago. Let us know what it's called. But yeah, it could go. He could end up. I mean, it'd be some turnaround for Stephen Bunting if he ends up not finishing bottom at this Premier League.
Yeah, especially having to beat Luke Littler to
do so, even though we've got him losing in the quarterfinal. If he does win that,
it'd be magical.
Has he got? If he does beat Littler, has he got the opportunity to end up taking that 7th spot?
I actually think. Do I go there? I feel like
you said, it's called the Crucible. It is not the Crucible. That is also in Sheffield, but that is not where they will be playing darts.
Can you imagine Premier League darts in the Crucible? I don't. Dennis Taylor wouldn't cope.
I think it would be pretty good though. Like, imagine a venue that small for it, just sort of really tight in and like.
Yeah, just almost touching the players in the hockey. I think I'm going to go there. You know, I think Cross wins. I think we see one final hurrah from Cross, and he beats Humphries, who's got nothing to play for. 6-3 Rob Cross.
6-3 to Rob Cross. I just can't see it. I just think he keeps playing well and not winning. And I think that continues. I think Humphries might have a little bit of an edge, like with being. Is there an edge between Leeds and Sheffield? I think there is a bit, isn't there?
Well, both in South Yorkshire, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a rivalry there. So he might get a bit of stick, and I think that'll just fire him up a little bit. And I think for a game that doesn't really mean anything, it'll just give him that edge to get over the line. And I think he wins 6-3. Malachi agrees. He's got it 6-3 for Humphries. Gordon's got it 6-2. Alistair's got it 6-4. So he's low MVG in the final for me. So I would not enjoy that at all. That would not be fun. But I would not also be particularly surprised if that is the case. Final next week. And as we mentioned, it is the Carwyn Evans, Dan Simpson derby. Go on, where are we going?
Well, I've I've picked two what I would call surprises. I can't do a third. I can't go against Gezi, even though I can't see his maybe mindset being much different to tonight. As in, I know we tried a few different things in his setup tonight. Will he try something else next week, or will he just go back to the old faithful? But I just think
it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Because he is a perfect leg, but also didn't play particularly well the rest of the time.
Yeah, no. So with that in mind, I think it'd be close, but Price wins 6. Price wins 6-5. Let's go for a decider. Bit of magic at the end.
Price. That'd be fun. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Just gonna cover my hair up and pretend I'm Dan Simpson for a minute. No, I think Price wins as well. I was impressed with Chris Doby tonight, but I do think Gezi will be one that will be looking at this as going, this is a little warm up for next week and get myself a bit of confidence and make sure I'm feeling good going into next week. So I think he takes it probably a little bit more seriously than Chris Doby will. Obviously, Chris Doby's going to take it seriously, but there'll be that extra edge, I think. A bit similar to Humphries, if there is that bit of stick from the crowd. There's just going to be something more to give him that sort of edge to make sure that he performs at his best. And I think he wins 6-2. I actually think it's quite convincing.
Oh, wow. Hopefully. For blood pressure.
Malachi's got it 6-4 for Gezi. Doby 6-5 for Gordon. He's got it close as well, like you, Gerwen. And Alistair's got it 6-1 for Price. He's gone even wider than I have. Which now takes us on to where we always end, which is from your quarterfinal winners, finalist and winner of the night, final time that we're going to have one of these as we go through the season. So, Gerwen, you're up. Where are you going?
I'm going to break tradition as it's the final one then, and not predict Gezi to be in the final. I think
not even in the final.
I think Luke Littler beats Rob Cross 6-2.
I am sick of picking Rob Cross to make finals. So I can't do anyway because I didn't pick him to win his quarterfinal. But I have been sort of religiously having him in finals, but getting beat in finals, and we've just not seen it. So Littler, Aspinall, Humphries, and Price.
Top 4.
The top 4. That is proper preparation for the week after.
Yeah. Oh, probably the quarterfinals as well then.
Yeah, Littler beats Asp. Once Asp beat Van Gerwen, feet go up, not Asp at that point.
Yeah.
And then, I think Humphries beats Price. I think we get the final that we all, if it's like tonight, that we all want to see. And little bit of edge going into next week. Humphries beats Littler in the final.
Ooh.
6-3. Gets revenge for tonight. Same scoreline, but the other way. As the last game in the Premier League going into finals night.
Nice. Gordon, I think you to pick again. You've one too many shandies. I think that's the semi-final.
What's he done here? Where's he gone?
He's gone. Littler beats the Asp, so that's the semi-final.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's fine. Don't know if that's an option. Perfect. Humphries 6-4 over there. Malachi's going the same way as me there. Slightly closer than I said. The way around for Alistair. We've got it pretty close. Gordon, who's he got winning? He's got Littler winning. Right, yeah, you need Littler beating either. I can't remember who you picked, I'll be honest.
Humphries or Doby, I think.
Winning the night. We'll be generous at this stage because you have had a shandy or two. And that is us done. We haven't got a clip from Nathan Aspinall as yet. The hardest working man in darts, the famous Mr. Phil Bars, has not been able to do it as yet for us. So it will always, as ever, be up on the channel for you to listen to in full once we are done. So, once we are done, get yourself over there, have a listen. I'm assuming it might even be up on the channel already. I don't know, to be honest. But he's not.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it might be up there.
Us, the selfish bastard. But yeah, that is us all done for tonight. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Do we do one? We obviously do one next week. Will that be the last one, or do we do one after the? I don't know if we do one after the final or
I'm
not.
not sure. Yeah, can't remember what we did last week.
Yes, it might be the last one next week. So we'll make some form of a party out of it.
Yeah,
get some hats or something. I don't know. I might go back to drinking. I've water tonight.
Yeah, I might change my cup of tea for something slightly stronger. Might go coffee next week. Then.
Yeah.
God,
great minds. There we go. That's
it's too long. That's the sign.
That's it. The brothers know what each other is. So, on that note, though, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Like I say, every week we say it, but you make this show. Without you lot, it wouldn't be what it is. But that was night 15 of the 2025 BetMGM Premier League darts from the wonderful P&J Live Arena in Aberdeen. We will see you all next week after Sheffield, and we will know then for certain who the finalists will be. Thank you very much, all of you, for watching, and we will see you all then. Good night.